What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Crypto DAO. If you're joining us on YouTube, drop that like button. Hit the like button right now. Drop a comment. What do you think Bitcoin's going to? Above 20K or below? Let's check out some technicals. If you want to see us live or ask any questions, we are here in the Discord live, and we'll always have the updates in real time, so you don't have to wait. What are we looking at right now? Pretty much what we're looking at is just in the setting triangle. Make this really bold for you guys to see. You see how, I didn't even have to extend this one, right? If we extend it right, perfect rejection. Right in the middle of the zone. You just can't make this shit up, bro. So we go make this one a little bigger, boom, thick triangle, right? We see that ascending triangle takes up most of the trend. We broke out of it one time, we retested the support, even retested the bottom of the zone, got above it, and then that's when we, fell. When we flip this line, clear support resistance flip, that's all it is. It's either support right here, this area up, or resistance. Look at this wick right here, right off the ascending triangle, support or it's resistance, right? So when we get this nice wick to the upside just to fake everybody out, we'll go on a lower time frame to see it. This is the bread and butter of what we do right here, right? Now, if we wanted to make a lower time frame area, this is 45-minute candle, so this is really like over 4 hours of time frame or price action. Oh my gosh, Lord, thank you, Jesus, bro. Does anybody hear me when I say fucking 60 RSI? Do you guys see the 60 RSI, right? The 60 RSI is where the bear is, where we want to be taking short positions, right? In this case, the 40 RSI is holding as resistance. We know the 40 RSI is where we want to be taking our long positions. If we go back to, this insanely bullish trend line, 40 RSI, look at where the pumps come in. 40 RSI holds, we dip below it, but then it's a nice hold, right? Nice hold up. We can see that this low, not really divergence, but that 40 RSI, look at when this one comes in again, boom, perfect up to 40. So the 40 RSI is where we want to be looking for our longs, and in a bullish environment like this bullish trend we just had, we'll be holding the 40 as support. And now adversely for our shorts, we want to be looking at the 60 RSI. So we just had a lot of resistance, lots of resistance, and I promise you this, when these 3 45-minute candles came, so about an hour and a half leading into this next candle, this RSI touched the 60 RSI. I was trying to break it, but there was just too much resistance. It couldn't get above any of these peaks and rejected hard after we, rejected that support resistance flip from the ascending triangle. Now this is ascending triangle, but there's many other ways that we could actually, mark this out. If we wanted to if we want to do like a channel or like a bear flag situation, we could also see that this line's way too thick. The thicker the trend line is, this is like the stronger or the harder the resistance is to break. So in this case, this is the bear flag scenario I'm waiting for. And then as well, we had, a micro trend where we see this. Was even this one? It's probably something like this. Can't find the wedge, but this was a pretty much like a bigger rising wedge. Once the rising wedge popped, we came down pretty severely. But what we have to realize is like all patterns are just like are reflections. Like you can draw many different patterns because the market's so choppy, right? It's not just going to be one solid pattern you look for. Like, yes, we have this 4-hour ascending triangle that now we've lost the support. Now we have to look for other support areas. So if we're looking, let me go back to the 4-hour real quick. 2-hour. I'm trying to find where this wedge was. This wedge was pretty clean. anyways, you know, the main reason for the drop, and you know, the thing I wanted to pinpoint right now, right? Like these are entries that when they break hard or they hold a support or resistance, notice how like really we could have been playing between these zones, right? Like anytime that, you know, this zone holds support, we could look for, you know, buy. Initially, like the buys would be best along this trend line. But anyway, if there's any way that this ascending trend line support breaks, then, you know, we will be targeting like 16K, which isn't off the cards. Like, yes, 2-hour RSI is very, you know, it's at a very crucial point, but it hasn't broke out of oversold yet, right? We still haven't, you know, broken these lows on the RSI, so we could still see like a slight, you know, bullish divergence if we look for it, like something like this. You see how like the lows, you know, they keep getting higher on the RSI and on the trend line. But notice how, you know, the RSI has come all the way back down to its oversold area, but the price action still isn't at, you know, its support trend line. So we may have, what I'm looking for really with the CPI data coming out, this is the 21 MA. I'm gonna look at how this 21 MA lines up perfectly with this horizontal resistance. I want a slight pump, hopefully mitigate this bigger, bigger bearish candle, maybe hit like some of the resistance wicks like around this area, and then for us to come back down and test this ascending trend line. So that would be kind of my longer term lookout. If we're kind of looking for supports right now, there is a couple. Let me see if I find it on here. So this is like one of on my other charts on my mobile that I have, and it's pretty much just points of symmetry. So like we see that this is a clear trend line, right? It's not giving you the whole outlook, because, you know, this is the biggest trend line we have, the 2 wicks touching, right? Even though it's 2 wicks, those are our lowest points, and, you know, Bitcoin's never been this low. So if we add in a little bit of tighter trend line, we see that we're getting close to another very big breaking point right here. Like, will we wick past this, you know, wick the zone and then come up? That's yet to be determined. But if we copy this one or clone it, you see how it comes up right here, and pretty much you can see that we're using like this top support. We're using like this. Once it broke this, that's a wick touch right there. Many candle closes right below this line. So these are all ascending trend lines, and they all could be, you know, kind of confluent in this bigger ascending triangle if any of them wants to hold. But anyway, we slip these trend lines and keep using them as resistance, like, you know, we're doing in this area right here. It won't be good for the bulls. The 2-hour we're testing, trying to get back oversold, out of oversold. 1 hour, nice little double bottom on the RSI if we're looking for, you know, didn't really, you know, push down too much. Nice slow creep down, but the lows were like about equal. This one did get lower, but the bulls had a nice low reaction. Keep going down, 30 minute, we covered the 45. Notice how, you know, like the RSI, how we have this like top level. Let me put the brush on, sorry, highlighter. Notice how we have like this line in the sand right along the 50 RSI, right? Look at where this top is, look at where this top is on the RSI. If we look at, you know, where the price action relates, it's all the way up here. Notice how the RSI, even from this little hour and a half pump up, you know, pumped up for an hour and a half, got rejected by this 21 moving average. But notice how, you know, the price action isn't up by these tops again. So is it reset for another drop? Do we put in another double top here under the 50 and then come back down? Or do we end up holding the 40 RSI support, you know, being above, you know, these two tops? You know, look how the 40 held us down right here. Remember, if, you know, in the bull market, you want the 40 to be holding as support. As well, in bearish times, the 40 will actually hold as a resistance, or you won't be able to really pass it with too much confluence. But yeah, the 60 RSI is, you know, really where you want to be looking for your shorts. If we looked at this 30-minute wick, like even like look at this, you know, kind of bigger pump that came up here just to have a little doji at the end, this 30-minute candle, and then engulf, you know, the lows. We stop at the last candle body low for, you know, 30 minutes to an hour, and then the next move comes in. So it's all about timing and knowing, you know, how the moves play out. Nothing goes straight down really. But yeah, that's pretty much the outlook for today. If there's any questions, you guys could ask it in the live stream. But if you are joining us on the YouTube, drop a comment. Do you think that, you know, Bitcoin holds some of this support, or do you think that we actually end up slipping, you know, these next lines, these ascending ascending support lines, and, you know, holding off, and, you know, eventually reaching to like that 28K level, 26K level. Well, this 25K will be first, you know, 25.5, kind of like the midpoint of the mitigation, right? The mitigation from the bigger drop. Or, you know, we could see like a retest of like this candle body low, you know, quick wick up here. So this is the area the bulls are targeting, right? Around the 28K through 25. Getting above, you know, this green line and holding as support would be, you know, a very big key for the bulls. But let's just look at one more thing before we go. Let's see if we have any type of falling wedge in play. You see how, like, even when we connect these two trend line wicks, we see how like this is now resistance. If I were to move this line down like this, yeah, we still have, you know, more touches, so it might be valid, but we also see that there's resistance above us. So I don't really see this as too much of a falling wedge, but it is here, something like that. But really, when you have a drop like this, it's just all about the lower time frames, man. Let's see what else we got. There's almost no way to box this in because there's no, I mean, there's an obvious like horizontal support right here and resistance. There's one right here as well. And then we'll say one right here. So this is how you kind of like box in your range. If you want to take a long, you want to take it from kind of, you know, below this green line. That would be key. You know, the 15-minute, if this 15-minute comes down hard, maybe comes down here and holds the 40 RSI, it might not be a bad long. Why wouldn't it be a bad long? Because you could easily, you know, have your stop loss. I mean, this is a big drop to that next ascending trend line, which is, you know, kind of risky. But if you didn't want to risk that, you just wanted to risk, you know, like this area, like to the end of this wick almost, that's only like a 0.40 risk. Rather than, you know, let's say we took a short from here. You know, for you to get your stop loss in was almost like 80%, you know, to have it above one of the last highs. And then even up here would be a 1.5%. So that's why it's kind of reverse psychology when we're taking positions. We want to short from the top of ranges, top of resistance areas, the wicks, or we want a long from when we get a support touch. But that's just the horizontal resistances and supports. If we're looking for anything else, I'm trying to see anything else. Smooth little descending right here. If we were to come down and then pop, well, use this as support, or even like something down here, like let's say like a 618 or a 786 retracement off of this pump, right? Because we're still making lower lows, but if we want to make higher lows, then we could hold anything above here, you know, that 786 area we were pinpointing, or the 8.0 below this last candle. And then we could take a long, and your long, if you get an entry down here, on a long, your stop loss is literally could be wherever you want. It depends on your leverage. The type of the stop loss, you know, the kind of the higher leverage you could use, but you also don't want to get wicked out quick. So I'll go with that medium leverage, just to keep it, you know, keep your size on your position, you know, a good amount of margin, and then let the leverage do the work for you. That's pretty much the key, what we're going for right now. So pretty much a descending triangle could be here on play right now, or we could see this wick was a little bit longer, bro, but we could still do something like this. We see one wick drop below at one time, and then we finally got above, used it as support, and then one more support touch. We have like a little bit of a pennant right here. These symmetrical triangles could, you know, break. What they do is, you know, they could break down and be flush, or, you know, you could have a breakout and then a fake out, like breakout to one side and then it comes straight back through and then finally makes, you know, the move to the upside. Adversely, you know, it could also, you know, bounce here, break out up here, and then get rejected. But we always just have to update your patterns. And the higher the time frame, the stronger the pattern, you know? So that's about it for, you know, our stream today. We're gonna be doing these daily. We're back on our grind. Let's get some money. Let's get some money. Good to see you guys here. Cryptic, Darren, Dharma, Cash Therapy, Taurus, Chapo. What are we thinking about the markets, man?